Yeah. To answer all of you guys' questions, I have Fox 2's Roop Raj here with me. Roop, you're the doctor tonight, aren't you? You're going to answer all these questions for us. I have some that I'm going to read off for you from viewers that you have from Fox 2 in Detroit. First of all, thanks for joining us on NewsNOW. How are you?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I think my parents would be very proud if they found out I had an earshot of becoming a doctor. Getting into television was the second best thing for me, but doctors are not smart enough for that.
You know what? As journalists nowadays, we have to wear a lot of hats. So here we go. We're off.
You're an expert.
First one for you. This is coming from Todd Hatchigian. It says, there are pharmaceutical companies capable of making vaccines. Why aren't they being given the Pfizer and or Moderna formulas to increase supply? Some of these are really interesting. I'm really impressed with people's questions.
No, it is very interesting. I ended up speaking with a big expert on this subject, Dr. Jewel Mullen out of the University of Texas at Austin. And I got to tell you, she said it's not that easy. I mean, just because a company is capable of making a vaccine doesn't mean they just get to it. You got to keep in mind that companies like Pfizer and Moderna, this doctor will point out, have really been building the infrastructure to build vaccines even before this pandemic existed. So it wasn't as though they just simply walked in last March, turned on the lights and said, all right, let's look at this empty building and figure out how to work. They knew there are 25 viruses in all that exist on the face of this earth. And the coronavirus in different forms, not the COVID one, but the coronavirus had existed before. So they've been working for years at Moderna and AstraZeneca and also at Pfizer to really try to figure out, how to build the vaccine when it was time. And that's why they did it so quickly. But one thing that she also points out, this doctor, Dr. Mullen out of the University of Texas, saying that just because someone's capable of producing a vaccine doesn't mean that they're ready to do it right away. And so stay tuned, because the Johnson & Johnson one, that's one that we're still waiting on. And when we see that one, that could be a one-shot wonder. The FDA is yet to approve it.
Yeah, so I forgot to point out, too, I think all these questions are pretty much talking about the vaccine, so we'll go ahead and hit this next one for you. It says, why can't other labs be contracted to make the vaccine to increase production? Can't a non-disclosure agreement be used? So we're getting into business here.
Yeah, they are in the business of making vaccines. And again, Dr. Mullen was very clear in saying that the capability of a particular company to make something like this doesn't make you a candidate to go ahead and do it. You really have to prove that you have what it takes, and you've been working on it for some time. Many other companies want to get into the game right now, but as far as we know, as you can tell, who was first at the race? We know, of course, it was these three. It was Pfizer, it was Moderna, and it was AstraZeneca. So certainly a lot of great questions coming in for Dr. Mullen today on a segment we call Your Take here in Detroit.
And next one for you, which vaccine brand is more preferable to take and why? This one's really good. I like that.
I like it too. I thought it was a great question asked from a Detroiter here. Dr. Mullen was really clear in saying that both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, the two that of course have been authorized by the FDA thus far in the past month, have been shown to be what's called efficacious or effective. Basically, if you think about what that word means, you keep hearing the word efficacious. Those two prove that. Here's the effectiveness of each one. They think that they're both between 94 and 95% effective. So when you look at Moderna and Pfizer, the spread between how effective they are is 1 percentage point, 94 or 95%. And there's a margin of error there as well. So they essentially are equal when you take a look at their effectiveness or their how efficacious they are, as they say in the medical business. They say the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine are both different in that Pfizer, you have to wait 3 weeks to get your second shot, but Moderna, you have to wait 4 weeks. And so it depends on what kind of a rush you're in to get this second shot. The difference between a week, really, when you've waited that long, is kind of arbitrary, wouldn't you say, in a sense?
Yes, no, absolutely. And, you got to think about the people who don't like getting shots, too, because some of these vaccines, you don't need as many shots as others. So. Right. that's also a consideration for the people who are scared of needles. I can't say I would really enjoy it either.
I don't know anyone out there who says I can't wait to get the shot, although I will say this is the first time I've ever seen people take selfies when they get that shot.
I know.
And it's like a badge of honor. It's like people when they do the I voted stickers, they're doing this like I've been vaccinated, and it's been a big deal. I know here in Michigan, I'm sure where you are as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've never seen so many people getting shots in my entire life. That is the new selfie look for sure. Okay, here's the next question for you. The virus seems to have attributes of a parasite. Has anyone looked into that as a possibility, seeing as it was a man-made virus? I think this is a question that a lot of people have.
Well, it is. And you know what's so interesting about this one is the fact that this doctor, who's really mild-mannered and really calm, basically launched out at social media and launched an all-out assault on social media and said, look, you can't believe everything you read. She went so far as to say that social media is to simply talk to your friends and your family. Do not rely on it for scientific information. She's upset because she believes that this whole talk of parasite and this being a man-made virus is all hearsay on the internet. You know, reporters and anchors like yourself and me, if someone just called our newsroom and said, hey, I heard this is happening down the road, we wouldn't just hop on television and say, hey, this is what's happening down the road. We would check.
Yep.
The problem with social media is, Dr. Mullen points out that these conspiracy theories that aren't even theories, they're just hypotheses, are being thrown out there like the truth, and they're not the truth. She went on to say that she believes there's no evidence at all of this being a man-made virus. She went on to say the parasite, no evidence of that. She said this COVID-19 belongs to a family of viruses called coronaviruses. We've known the coronavirus exists before. Heck, check your Lysol bottle in the back. 10 years ago, it said it could beat coronavirus. The common cold is a coronavirus.
Yes.
This COVID-19 is the novel one, right? But she basically said, social media, hands off the facts. You can't come close to it. She said, you really got to be careful what you're looking at on the internet.
Yeah, I remember that confusion, especially in the very beginning when we really didn't know that much about it, but we knew that coronavirus had still existed. Okay, I think this may be the last one for you, but we'll see. It says, how long will the vaccine be good for? Is it going to be like the flu shot where you have to get it every single year?
You know, it's the four words you don't want to hear. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what Dr. Mullen had to tell us today. We just don't know because of the fact that this is a novel virus. But she said we don't know yet in terms of the long-term protection from the COVID vaccine and how long it'll work. She went on to say, I've been reminding people that because both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines require 2 shots, don't just think that if you get this one, it's one and done. You can't consider yourself fully vaccinated until you've had both of your shots. Something that I think a lot of people need to hear. I don't know about you, but I know in our newsroom we've heard a lot of people say, "Hey, you know what? I got my first shot, so I'm stronger today than I was yesterday, and I can beat COVID-19." Well, you don't know that until you get your second shot and you're fully inoculated.
Yes, yeah. And you know what? This entire time through the pandemic, there have been so many questions like this. I just love doing these types of segments where we're taking it straight to the doctor and we're saying, hey, I don't know, you know. So I appreciate you breaking this all down for us. And you do your segments how often there with Fox 2?
You know, I try to do them once every other week.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you do them every week, then it becomes kind of like people get used to it, and they also kind of say, okay, we've already heard these questions before. But as I'm looking at some of my emails, people are saying thank you for the segment because the questions that we asked just now are the ones they needed to answer. But Daytona, as you know, it's one of those things where the news cycle is changing so quickly. So by next week, we're going to get new news about the vaccine. So the following week, I'd like to do another one like that. But I'd love to join you again and chat about it. And by the way, I don't think on television or on the internet right now at this very moment, there are 2 people with more unique names than Daytona and Roop talking to each other. I just wanted to point that out.
I know, that's what we do here on NewsNOW. We're very unique. We bring on only people
roll.
with unique names.
Good stuff.
Okay, Roop Raj out there covering all of the medical terminology and vaccine information you need to know. You can tweet at him, you can tweet at us, ask us your questions, because chances are we probably have the same ones, right, Roop?
You're right about that. And by the way, we should say for the record, Andrew Kraft has a really darn cool name as well.
He's the best. He's the best. We love him. All right, thanks, Roop, for being with us. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
You bet.
Bye.
See you around.
So nice to have Roop on the show, and typically he's on talking about politics, but now he's talking about coronavirus too. So love to see that. The guy wearing a lot of hats over there in Detroit. I'm going to send some of you off to a 2-minute commercial break. When you come back, we're talking about NASA this time around. Really cool to see a lot of movement.